Big g'day and welcome to another edition of RDFNL TV pre-season, off-season edition. My name's Yeendy. I'm joined by one of the best journos in the business from the Star Weekly, Tara Murray. Thanks for jumping on board, and we're looking ahead to Melton Centrals.
It is. It looks like it's been a big off-season out there at Melton Centrals. I know the last few years they've focused on bringing through their young talent, and look, most of the talent they have brought in is still pretty young, and it's sort of in that core age group that they want to bring this group together so that when they're all firing, they're all around the same age group, and then they can build together. Yeah,
it's absolutely fantastic. And I think one of the most exciting things that's happened for the club is they're finally going to get a chance to play on a quality netball court, which is the works of just about reaching completion, if not completed, and it's looking an absolute treat.
It is, and obviously a lot closer to the footy as well. It was a little bit of a trek to get from the netball to football and made it hard to watch both at one time, like I like to do when I get out, so I can watch both sports. So that's a big boost for them in the off season, and obviously they're sort of building. Their netball wasn't ideal this year, probably the worst season we've seen from Centrals in a number of years. But then they can sort of build on that and get back. It'll be a very different looking side, and then on the football side, there's pretty exciting things happening there as well.
Now let's talk up the senior footy, and firstly, before we do that, a big congratulations to all the great work Liam Wilson has been doing behind the scenes with all the social media there. We're constantly getting updates of who's staying and who's going, and I guess it's who's going, which as disappointing as it is, there's only a handful of players that are departing a side that is rebuilding and building well.
At this stage, they've just got two.
Yep.
You've got one who's retiring through injury, so you've got Bobby Micheski, who came across as a recruit from Deer Park, so he's retiring because of that, and then they lose Cooper Pepe, who is going to St Albans in the Western Region Football League in their Division 1, so he wants to test himself at that higher level, so he goes from Centrals with their best wishes. Yes, they'd love him to have stayed around for a couple of years and developed with this young group, but he wants to test himself at that higher level. I think he finished top 10 in the RDFL, best and fairest this year, so he came across and had an instant impact, but unfortunately they've lost him. But they've brought in a number of players. They've brought in, I think, nearly 10 or 11 players. A lot of them young, a lot of them are from the Melton Moorabool area, and that's what they're sort of targeted. So a lot of their clubs have come from Melton South, Darley, Bacchus Marsh, those clubs within the nearby area, because those guys are going to stay at the club. You don't have to travel. Hopefully mean they'll be around the club a bit more, and sort of got those young guys in, and they've brought back a little bit of experience with a couple of former players returning in Josh Bamford, who I think only spent last season at Maryborough Rovers, and former captain Kane Bungan, who was also at Maryborough Rovers. So you add a little bit of experience in with some of these young guys. For them, probably they're Daniel Foley, who was at Bacchus Marsh, who is a former VFL player. It's probably their marquee signings when I was chatting to Matt Sproul about.
And probably the exciting thing, if you're a Centrals fan, is they've really added a lot of invaluable depth to that team, because they showed some great promising signs that they could have even played finals in 2018, and now with another year under Sprowley and only having a couple of departures, bringing back some of that experience. I think it's pretty exciting down there.
And look, and it is interesting. I was speaking to a different coach from another side, and they said, look out for Centrals, because Central's likely to have an easier draw this year. They had one of the toughest, if not the toughest draw last year. Not playing a lot of those sides down the bottom of the ladder twice. If they play those sides this year, they've got a better draw as well. They do push those sides. We did see them beat Wallen, which was probably one of, if not the upset of the whole entire season. So they've got some good signs. And speaking with Matt, he said basically, we're going to improve again. How many wins, I don't know, and that's what he said last season. And they got more wins, and they showed they were were building to be a good side. And he's saying the same thing again.
Probably what we're seeing with the Centrals is it's not necessarily what they're doing for 2019, but it's 2020 and 2021, because they really are building that really strong list of consistent players, and they're building for the future.
And that's it, and that's what they've said the last few years, and that's what we've sort of seen Rockbank, Lansfield and Broadford look to do. Centrals are probably 3-4 years ahead of that. They've been doing that, and they're showing the signs of what's happening, and they're getting those big wins, and they're being more consistent. So you've kept the side together, you've added more players, you've added more depth, and they're still keen to play a lot of those 18, 19-year-olds in the side, and Matt Sproul said there will be spots for those under-19 players. Those who aren't playing seniors are going to be playing in the 19s, and he reckons they'll have a pretty handy under-19 side as well.
Speaking of the under-19s as well, great to see Brian Wheelerhan has put his hand up. Obviously a club legend in his own right, Wheels. He is coaching the under-19 and a halves in 2019, which is fantastic. Great for those kids to have someone of that experience.
And he was a former senior coach at Central, so you've got someone with experience who knows the club, who wants to see this club succeed, so it's a good sign for them down there.
And he's on this. He did a lot of work with the senior team under Sprowley this year, so to have the two of them working in tandem, and they've recently appointed a reserves coach as well. I think there's a lot of good things happening. Let's talk A-grade netball. Randy Pereira going around again, which is exciting for the club. But one of the things I'm really excited about is Beck Moorabool is not lost to the game, and she'll be coaching one of the lower grades. I think the under-19s from memory.
It is interesting. You've got Randy is coaching A, B and C grade. I think it's his 11th season he'll be coaching A grade. You mentioned the 19s. You've got Beck Moorabool. She's coaching with her sister, Taylor. So the coaching panel is going to be a family affair. You've got Randy coaching 3 grades and his 2 daughters coaching the under-19s. So Beck's staying around the club, which is a really good thing for them. You've got Lizzie Masterson, who previously had been at Melton Central a number of years ago, but more recently we've known as the Rockbank senior A-grade coach. She's returned to the club and she's going to be a specialist coach as well, so that adds a little bit more experience to that coaching panel. But their A-grade side will be completely different. We said they struggled this year, not what we're used to from Melton Centrals. They have had 3 players retire in Beck, Jess May and Mel Wed, so that's 3 of their stalwarts of that side who have been part of premiership teams. I think they're part of teams of the decade, all of that, so it'll be a very, very different looking Melton Central side.
We're going to see what sort of happened with what is happening with the footy, and they're just going to rebuild from the lower grades and upwards to sort of try and build that more stability and success across all of them.
Look, they have started to bring a few of those younger players up towards the back of the end of the season. It might depend on who turns up at trials, who wants to return as well, so they might still have a few experienced players within that side, but they did start to bring some of those younger ones. I think Taylor, Randy's daughter, is one of them. She's only a young player that she's stepped up, and there was a couple of others that stepped up late towards the season. So look, whether they do go that complete rebuild, I'm not sure. It might depend on who else stays and who else comes through from the trials, but it is a big possibility. And
they have to look at the state of the new netball courts as well. If that doesn't make you want to get down there and be a part of the excitement. Some of the best facilities are sort of going around nice and fresh, and it's pretty exciting. But needless to say, I think if you're a Melton Central's fan going forward across your football and netball across all grades involved at senior level, I think you'd be pretty excited about 2019.
Oh, definitely. They are one of the sides you probably want to watch, and people are talking about that football-wise, they are definitely one side that will improve.
Excellent. Well, that has been the an insight into Melton Central's off-season heading into 2019. Tara, thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to watching with great interest to see how this club unfolds ahead of 2019.